Evolution of the Indian Constitution. The Indian Constitution has its origins in the acts and policies of the East India Company and the British government. It came into effect on January 26, 1950, marking India's transition from a dominion to a sovereign democratic republic. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar played a pivotal role as the chairman of the drafting committee. The drafting process involved the Constituent Assembly from 1946 to 1949, featuring extensive discussions. Its evolution can be understood into two key periods. The Company Rule 1773 to 1858 established the governance framework under the East India Company. Second, the Crown Rule 1858 to 1947 marked the direct British control, leading to major administrative changes. Under Company Rule, we have Regulating Act of 1773. Then Governor General was Warren Hastings. First British regulation marked the beginning of the British control over East India Company's affairs in India. Central administration laid the foundation for the centralized governance. Company's role officially re- officially recognized the company's political and administrative authority. Governor General appointed Lord Warren Hastings as Governor General of Bengal with a four-member executive council. Supreme Court establishment set up the Supreme Court in Calcutta 1774. Prohibition of private trade, banned private trade and bribes among company servants, required the Court of Directors to report on revenue, civil, and military matters. Uh, Bombay and Madras presidencies were made subordinate to Bengal's Governor General. Then we have Amending Act of 1781, which was Act of Settlement. Then Governor General was Warren Hastings. Governor General and Council exempted from Supreme Court jurisdiction from official acts, excluded revenue issues from Supreme Court's jurisdiction, court to apply Hindu and Mohammedan law for respective defendants. Provincial courts appeal directed to Governor General in Council. Governor General in Council empowered to frame regulations for provincial courts and council. Then we have Pitt's India Act 1784. It separated commercial and political functions of the company. Dual government, the act established board of control that managed political affairs and supervised civil and military operations and revenues, and court of directors that oversaw commercial affairs. Uh, then we have first British possessions. Under British possessions, we have first referred to company territories as British possessions in India, granting the British government supreme control. Act of 1786, Lord Cornwallis appointed as Governor General of Bengal and the Commander in Chief. Cornwallis was granted power to override council decisions in special cases. Then we have Charter Act of 1793. Then Governor General was John Shore. Overriding powers granted to Lord Cornwallis were extended to future Governor Generals and governors of presidencies. That enhanced Governor General's control over Bombay and Madras presidencies, extended the company's monopoly in India for an additional 20 years, specified that the commander-in-chief would not be a council member unless appointed, mandated payment for board of controls members and staff from Indian revenues. Then we have Charter Act of 1830. Then Governor General was Lord Minto I. Ended the trade monopoly of the East India Company, allowing all British merchants to trade in India except for trade in China and trade in tea. Asserted British Crown sovereignty over company's territories in India. Empowered local governments to impose taxes and punish defaulters, extended the company's rule for another 20 years, enhanced the power of board of control, allowed Christian missionaries to promote moral and religious improvements in India, mandated an annual investment of rupees 1 lakh in Indian education, regulated the company's territorial revenues and commercial profits, requiring separate accounts. Then we have Charter Act of 1833. Then Governor General was William Bentinck. Marked the final step towards centralization in British India, giving it an all India character. Legalized British colonization, the East India Company became an administrative body holding territories in trust of His Majesty, his heirs, and successors. Ended the company's monopoly on trade with China and in tea. The government of the Governor General came to be known as the Government of India and the Council as the Indian Council. Designated the Governor General of Bengal as the Governor General of India, granting full civil and military powers. Lord William Bentinck was the first appointee. Transferred legislative powers from Bombay and Madras to the Governor General of India with laws termed as Acts. Empowered the Governor General to amend or appeal laws in British India. Proposed an open competition system for civil servant selection but faced opposition from the Court of Directors. Established the Indian Law Commission 1834 for legal codification chaired by Lord Macaulay. Then we have Charter Act of 1853. Governor General of India, Lord Dalhousie. The last in the series of Charter Acts 1793 to 1853 separated legislative and executive functions of the Governor General's Council, introduced local representation in the Indian Legislative Council with 6 new legislative councillors totaling 12 members. Of the 6 new legislative members of the Governor General's Council, 4 members were appointed by the local provincial government of Madras, Bombay, Bengal, and Agra. Reduced the board of directors from 24 to 18 with 6 nominated by the British Crown. The Legislative Council functioned as a mini parliament mirroring British procedures. Implemented an open competition system for civil service recruitment, allowing Indian participation. The Macaulay Committee was appointed in 1854. The 4th law member gained voting rights as a full member, extended the company's rule and allowed it to retain the possession of Indian territories on trust for the British Crown, but it did not specify any particular period unlike the previous charters. Then we have Crown Rule that lasted from 1858 to 1947. First we have Government of India Act 1858. Then Viceroy was Lord Canning. Abolition of the East India Company. Powers transferred to the British Crown, Viceroy of India. The Governor General became the Viceroy with Lord Canning as the first appointee. Abolished the Board of Control and Court of Directors. Established the Secretary of State for India, a British cabinet member accountable to Parliament. Created an advisory council of 15 members to assist the secretary chaired by him. Formed the Secretary of State in Council capable of suing and being sued in India and in England. Then we have Indian Councils Act 1861. The Viceroy was Lord Canning. The Viceroy could nominate Indians as non-official members of his council in 1862. Lord Canning nominated 3, the Rajas of Banaras, Maharaja of Patiala, and Sir Dinkar Rao. Restored legislative powers of Bombay and Madras, initiating decentralization and granting provinces near autonomy by 1937. Established the new Legislative Council for Bengal in 1862, Northwestern Province in 1886, and Punjab in 1897. Enabled the Viceroy to issue ordinance valid for 6 months for emergencies without council consent. Lord Canning introduced the portfolio system in 1856 and the Indian Council Act 1861 legally recognized this practice, allowing council members to independently manage departments. Then we have Indian Council Act 1892. Then Viceroy was Lord Lansdowne. Increased non-official members. Non-official representation in central and provincial legislative council was raised while maintaining an official majority. Legislative council gain power to discuss budgets, address questions to the executive. Non-official members were nominated Central Council by the Viceroy upon recommendation from the Provincial Legislative Council and Bengal Chamber of Commerce. Then Provincial Council by the Governor and on advice from district boards, municipalities, universities, trade associations, zamindars and chambers. Then we have Indian Council Act 1909, which was also called Morley Minto Reforms. Then Viceroy was Lord Minto II. Membership increased from 16 to 60. Official majority retained. Allowed non-official majority membership varied in provinces. Members could ask supplementary questions and propose budget resolutions. Separate budget voting introduced. Budget as a whole could still not be voted upon. Muslims could vote only for Muslim candidates, legalizing communalism. Lord Minto came to be known as the father of communal electorate. First Indian Satyendra Prasad Sinha appointed to the Viceroy's Executive Council as a law member. Separate representation for presidency corporations, Chamber of Commerce, universities and zamindars. Government of India Act 1919, Montagu Chelmsford reforms. Then Viceroy was Lord Chelmsford. It came into effect in 1921. On August 20, 1917, the British government aimed to gradually introduce a responsible government in India. Administration was divided into central, provincial, and provincial subjects, and under the devolution rules, enabling authority delegation from the center to provinces. Introduced a dual government scheme in provincial subjects, reserve subjects governed by the Governor General and his Executive Council, not acceptable to the Legislative Council. Transferred subjects managed with Legislative Council oversight. Replaced the Indian Legislative Council with bicameral legislation, upper house Council of State and lower house Legislative Assembly with a majority elected directly. Included 3 Indian members in the Viceroy's Executive Council, excluding the Commander-in-Chief. Extended a separate electorates for 6 Indian Christians, Anglo-Europeans and Europeans, franchise limited to property, tax and educational criteria. Separated the provincial budget from the central budget, allowing provinces to enact their own budgets. Established in London, transferring certain functions from the Secretary of State for India. Civil service recruitment, it provided for the establishment of a public service commission, and thus a central public service commission was created in 1926. It proposed establishment of a chamber of princes, Narendra Mandal, which was formed in 1921 with 120 members, princes and representatives, promoting discussions on shared interest. Mandated a statutory commission to assess its effectiveness after 10 years. Then we have Government of India Act 1935. Then Viceroy was Lord Willingdon. The Government of India Act 1935 marked a significant step towards a responsible government in India, comprising 321 sections and 10 schedules, aimed to establish an all-India federation with provinces and princely states, but it failed due to non-participation from the princely states. Powers were divided into 3 lists: federal with 59 items, provincial with 54 items, and concurrent with 36 items, with residual powers assigned to Viceroy. Introduced provincial autonomy, introduced diarchy at the center. Autonomous governments formed in 1937 but were suspended in 1939. Established bicameralism in 6 provinces, which were Bengal, Bombay, Madras, Bihar, Assam, and United Province. Introduced separate electorate for depressed classes, scheduled castes, women, and laborers. Extended franchise to 14% of the population and created the Reserve Bank of India. Established Federal and Provincial Public Service Commission and a federal court in 1937. Burma was separated from India and two new provinces, Odisha and Sindh, were created. Introduced safeguards for minority interests and established a federal railway authority and auditor general was appointed for financial oversight. Then we have Indian Independence Act 1947. Then Viceroy was Lord Mountbatten. Partition plan presented by Lord Mountbatten on June 3, 1947, accepted by the Congress and the Muslim League, leading to India's independence on August 15, 1947. Dominion established, created two independent dominions, India and Pakistan, with the right to exit the British Commonwealth. The governance changes abolished the office of Viceroy, introduced a Governor General for each dominion, constituent assemblies empowered to create constitutions and repeal British laws, including the Independence Act. Assemblies could legislate until new constitutions were enacted. British Acts post August 15 required Dominion approval. The Secretary of the State for India's role was abolished. British paramountcy over princely states lapsed, granting them autonomy. Appointment and reservation by the Secretary of State ceased, but pre 1947 appointees retained benefits. Lord Mountbatten became the first Governor General of India. The Constituent Assembly, formed in 1946, became the Parliament of India.